Today's topic of conversation, chase cards and sealed product future value. These two things go hand in hand. This is one of those videos where there'll be no graphics up on the screen whatsoever. So it is one that you don't need to watch. You can just listen to it in the car while you're going for a spin, pop it on in the headphones while you're going for a walk, or of course, pop it on the telly at home while you're doing a bit of housework or something. Big shout out to today's video sponsor, which is of course on the t-shirt here, which is Collector. Fantastic app. There'll be a link in the description to download that one. And also a big thank you to anyone and everyone that chooses to tune in. If you're new here, we talk all things Pokemon card investing on this channel. And let's get into today's video topic. This is a discussion-based video. It'll probably go for around 10 minutes, or no doubt I'll just get carried away and it might go a little bit longer. But I wanted to talk to you predominantly about chase cards. We have had some sets throughout Scarlet and Violet, throughout Sword and Shield, throughout Sun and Moon, throughout X and Y, throughout Black and White, and every era before that, that predominantly rely on one chase card. And maybe there's an ancillary chase card or a couple of ancillary chase cards that back up the set, and those sets can perform relatively well. But then we get these generational sets that have not only one chase card, not only two chase cards, maybe not even 5 chase cards, but like 10 chase cards that if you pull one of those, your excitement levels are absolutely through the roof. And I want to talk to you predominantly about, well, not predominantly about, a little bit about Ascended Heroes. I've actually done the last 2 videos on Ascended Heroes, and it's a very, very strong topic at the moment. It's a very big flavor of conversation. Ascended Heroes, in my opinion, is one of those generational sets. It is so good with so much depth and so many strong chase cards. I think it continuously needs to be mentioned. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about Phantasmal Flames, and I wanted to talk about where I see things going based on chase cards. So if we rewind back a little bit, which only feels like yesterday really to Scarlet and Violet era, there are a few sets that predominantly rely on one chase card. A couple come to mind. Realistically, and I suck at saying it, well actually I don't suck at saying it, it's just some people don't get the accent, it's Australian accent, and that's just how we speak. Paldea evolved. Paldea. Everyone says there's no R on the end. I don't feel like I'm putting an R on the end. It is the accent, I promise you. Paldea. What if I say that? Paldea evolved. Is that, I don't know, that sounds weird. Paldea evolved. Anyway, it really relies on one chase card, which is the magic card. It does have a good amount of depth to it, and it does have some ancillary hits, like Tyranitar is a strong hit, and Sleeping Raichu is a strong hit. However, really, when we're talking big value, like north of $200 US for a chase card, it really relies on the one card, which is of course the beautiful Magikarp from Shinji Kanda. If we fast forward a few sets and we get to something like Paldean Fates, it really, really relies on, well, ideally 2, but strongly the Bubble Mew and also the ancillary hit of that Charizard. If we rewind back, speaking of Charizard and 2 hits in a set, we rewind back to say Sword and Shield era of something like Champion's Path, there was really 2 hits inside there. Charizard and Charizard. We had a Shining Charizard and a Charizard VMAX. If we even fast forward a little bit forward from Paldean Fates in Scarlet and Violet era and go to something like Twilight Masquerade, we really had 1 hit inside there, which was Greninja. And of course, some nice trainer cards and a couple of ancillary special illustration rares to round out the set. But in terms of anything with serious value, like you're chasing that card. Like when you're opening Twilight Masquerade, you're hoping to get that Greninja. That is the one that's going to light up. You know, if it's a streaming service, if you're opening at home with your friends, if you're opening at home by yourself or with your partner or whatever it might be, that is the card you want to pull. That is the card that gets you excited. You fast forward, and here's my point, to something like Ascended Heroes, and you pull the Gengar, you're going crazy. You pull the Dragonite, you're going crazy. Even all the way down, you pull either of the Pikachus, you're going crazy. The Rocket's Mewtwo, you're going crazy. Even all the way down to the 10th most expensive chase card in the set, the Mega for Alligator. If you pull that, you're still probably going slightly crazy. That's how much depth there is into that set. And that really reminds me of something like, of course, not too far before that, in Scarlet and Violet era, Prismatic Evolutions. Prismatic Evolutions had so many chase cards. Obviously, you pull the Umbreon, you're going off your head. But realistically, if you pull any other of the evolutions inside there, the special illustration rares, you're also super, super excited. You've pulled a massive hit worth, you know, a couple of $100 or $300 US in a lot of cases, which of course, if it grades a 10, you know, you're making good money off them. Previously, rewind a tiny bit back, and this is why I say these are the best two sets from Scarlet and Violet Era. You get to 151, same thing. It's like, okay, the Charizard is the one worth lots of money, but you've also got Blastoise, Venusaur, plus Charmander, Charmeleon, Squirtle, that are all worth a fair bit of money, like, north of $80 US, or in some cases north of 100 or 150 US. So you get my point here. So what happens in this scenario? We saw it in Evolving Skies. We saw it in 151. In my opinion, we're just about to see it with Prismatic Evolutions. That, in my opinion, will follow the exact same trend as 151. It's too good a set not to. There are too many multiple chase card hits for it not to take off. And if you really want to get on the bandwagon early, we're going to see the same thing with Ascended Heroes. And look, this could be the cheapest we ever see it, or it could get a massive, massive reprint at some stage and pricing could correct a little bit. You could be able to buy more of it at recommended retail price. You could be able to buy more of it even cheaper than that. I don't know. I think the demand for this set will carry on too strong. The other thing to keep in mind with the next two sets that are coming out, we've got Perfect Order coming out, and then, I forget the name of it, but obviously another Greninja-based chase card set. We're looking at those two sets, and currently from the Japanese side, or even the full set list for Perfect Order, and then the Japanese side for maybe the following set, the chase cards don't look fantastic. The Greninja looks good. Even that Mega Starmie looks good, but realistically, it doesn't look like these sets are going to have the same wow factor that Ascended Heroes has. So what happens then when we get a little bit of a lull? Either some people leave the hobby, or some people turn back to those sets where they do get that absolute rush or hit from finding the card that they get, or finding the card that they want, I should say. You got to remember the opening experience, whether it's buying off Whatnot and watching someone else, buying off YouTube and watching someone else, buying it yourself, of course, to open, keeping sealed, the collectability, it all comes down to the chase cards inside the box. That is so, so important. I talk so heavily about that in this video. In these videos. So I think if we go down that path of, Perfect Order and the set after that being weaker, I think the hobby isn't just going to magically shrink massively. Like, it's not just going to halve in its popularity. Yes, maybe a few people leave the hobby because they can't flip this product at twice the price because it's not as sought after. But a lot of those people in and around the hobby, they're actually in it because they like it and they like opening cards and they like collecting and investing and everything else in between. They will go back to the sets they like. So I think it's going to put even more demand onto something like Ascended Heroes. And even if we do get a second print wave after Perfect Order, or near on the next set, it's going to be so popular because that's what everyone's going to want. So I think, Ascended Heroes, my advice there is it's going to be one of those sets that you just dollar cost average into if there happens to be a reprint. Is it the perfect time to buy now? Maybe, maybe not, but we said it during 151. I remember when 151 came out and everyone's like, oh, it's going to get reprinted into the ground, which, yeah, it got printed pretty heavy, but the set was so damn good, it didn't squash it. If you could manage to dollar cost average a little bit on one of the bigger reprints, fantastic for you. But for the most part, it just got eaten up and eaten up and eaten up. And before we knew it, pricing spiked through the absolute roof. And the similar thing, in my opinion, is going to happen with Ascended Heroes. Now, with all that in mind, let's turn our attention back to sets that have that one banger chase card. And look, Phantasmal Flames has surprised me a little bit. I would have thought it had a little bit more product printed by now, which would have squashed the Charizard a little bit more, but it seems the supply just gets eaten up and eaten up and eaten up. PSA 10 copies of that Charizard, and don't get me wrong, I've said 100 times on this channel, that is a generational chase card. That is such a good artwork. I thought pricing would have been squashed a little bit more due to volume and due to pull rates. But it just hasn't. It's actually gone, it's dipped down to, I think, what did it dip down to, 400 or 500? And it's back to, and I said, look, it might dip down to 300. Obviously, I was wrong. I got that wrong, of course. People let me know about that from time to time. Fancy anyone getting a figure wrong from the crystal ball. But anyway, it's rebounded up to like 600, 650 now. Like, it is stupid pricing. And of course, with that push, naturally drags up the price of the booster box. And look, we've seen this before. I remember when Burning Shadows, during the boom, I guess, of the original COVID boom, when this started, back at the start of 2020, when the whole investor bro side of things came out and YouTube started to take off, and money was getting poured into Pokemon and the likes, and influencers were getting into the space. Burning Shadows was another prime example. That had a very expensive Rainbow Charizard, and it was also very expensive in a PSA 10. And there was still a fair bit of supply of Burning Shadows. It came out in 2017. Of course, COVID started in 2020. The demand in 2017 wasn't super strong. We're coming off that tail end of, the XY era, and we're coming off the tail end of the mobile app, of course, Pokemon Go, but it had started to die off a little bit and it wasn't super popular. Printing quality was quite poor then, so, gem rates were quite difficult, which of course made the PSA 10 quite expensive. But it did. That card pushed, because that card was so expensive, and it was so expensive in a PSA 10, and pull rates were quite difficult, it really dragged the box price up with it. But you know what? What happened is, eventually it got to a stage that it just stayed at forever, even during the boom, even during 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. Burning Shadows booster boxes and Elite Trainer boxes stayed at a relatively stable price. It had gotten a big bump up because that chase card was so sought after. Now, I'm not saying that chase card is anywhere near as nice to look at, that's the Rainbow Charizard from Sun and Moon, as the Phantasmal Flames Charizard, because personally I'm not a fan of rainbow cards. However, you can't take away from that being a main chase card from the Sun and Moon era. It was very sought after for a while. Now, with all that in mind, pricing of the box, like I said, remained very, very stable at an inflated price for a period of time. And I don't know if that's exactly what's going to happen to Phantasmal Flames, but I think we see it fairly often with sets that have one main chase card. What happens is there's so much demand and hype around that main chase card, and of course it's got the Gold Charizard as a nice secondary hit, which Burning Shadows didn't have. That also, don't get me wrong, that also helps. Having two chase cards also helps. So what happens though is that the demand and everyone wanting those chase cards, of course, pushes the box price up, because the only way to get those chase cards is to open the boxes. And of course, if more and more people are buying the boxes to open them, it's going to naturally drive the price up. Of course, that's economics 101. So once the box gets to a certain price though, it almost levels out for a while, because it's like, where's the additional chase cards? Once people have that Charizard, or that Charizard sort of goes out of everyone's mind for a time being, then the box price remains relatively stable, and that's probably my prediction on a lot of those boxes. And again, like I was saying, we've seen it before. We've seen it with Burning Shadows. We've seen it with some of the mid-tier Sun and Moon sets as well, like Lost Thunder and Celestial Storm, that have, the Rainbow Lugia or the Rainbow Rayquaza as chase cards. They push to a certain level, they hold that for a long period of time, and it's not until they get older and rarer, and maybe some of those other chase cards start to add some value to the total set value, that those boxes really start to push up. And I think, Phantasmal Flames long term, I think will be a decent investment. I think there's probably still slightly better investments to be had, but I think it'll be decent. Take for example Silver Tempest from Sword and Shield era. Obviously the main chase card there is Lugia, and same thing, beautiful chase card, generational almost Lugia artwork. It's the best Lugia artwork we've seen for a while. Is Lugia more popular than Charizard? I'll let you guys and girls be the decider of that. But that card held up that box price. Obviously, it was also coupled with a nice Rayquaza chase card. You see my point though, that pushed the box price to a certain price point. It stayed there for a little while. In fact, it stayed there for a couple of years, and it's only just recently with this new sort of 2025 or late 2025 boom that Silver Tempest has seen a little bump up in price again. So the point is there, can one chase card with maybe one ancillary hit really hold up sealed pricing long term? I mean, the generational card from that Charizard in Phantasmal Flames will help that. The artwork is just too good. But is it the best investment? That's probably the question you need to ask yourself. And you look at Silver Tempest and go, generational Lugia artwork with a beautiful Rayquaza from the trainer gallery to carry it along, and then you compare it to Evolving Skies still, and it just doesn't match up. Or you even compare it to Fusion Strike, and it just doesn't match up. Why? Because Fusion Strike has several hits which you open and you go bang. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Silver Tempest, you pull the Lugia, you pull the Rayquaza, that's sort of it. Fusion Strike, you pull the Gengar, you're super stoked. You pull the Espeon, you're also super stoked. You pull one of the two Mews, you're still damn stoked. And probably pulling the Celebi is about the same as pulling the Rayquaza from Silver Tempest. You're still stoked, but you wish you'd got something a little bit better. You get my point. The more strong chase cards the set has, the more the sealed product will boost up in price. It's as simple as that. Case in point, Evolving Skies. Case in point, 151, which also has the nostalgia driver behind it. Case in point, Prismatic Evolutions. It is about to take off. And finally, which has been the topic of conversation for my last few videos, I almost feel like this has been an Ascended Heroes 3-part series. Next case in point, Ascended Heroes. There are too many chase cards inside that set for it not to be successful. It is such a good investment, and I think everyone should pick up as much of it as they can and open it so I keep all this. No, I'm kidding. I'm Michael, this is Bogey Oz. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch everyone next time.